And we are live. It is the Week 5 Wednesday show on Football Diehards. Bobby and I will be going game by game. Feel free to fire off any questions you have in the chat or in the questions section. Bobby, how did Week 4 for you go?
It was a good week. Wish that Will Fuller 75-yarder connected in that Keenan Allen 69-yard touchdown wasn't taken back, and I probably win all the money on DraftKings.
Oh yeah, I had all the running backs right too. I had the Chubb, obviously, our cash lineups. I think we both probably had Eckler, McCaffrey, Gallman, obviously. So man, it was. And I didn't watch the Chargers game. I heard he was taken down on the 2-yard line as well.
Yeah, it was a good week. I had a pretty good couple good sweats. Ended up running the Patriots defense. I think in a lot of higher stakes, people just went the Rams, and it worked out in that way.
Rams got a disgusting cover with the touchdown. Like, that was the most unearned, whatever, they had 6 points at the end of the game I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, the Cooper Kupp TD was pretty tilting because I was on him all week and then didn't play him. Played Keenan Allen because basically for the floor and the safety. But outside of that, it was definitely a good week. Looking forward to this week. The slate's kind of blah, but it's a lot of decision points that if you make the correct ones, other people are going to have tough decisions to make too. So from there, you should be in a good spot if you can just make the right choices.
Yeah, I think when there's not obvious chalk, I would imagine it suits better players better because everybody knew that last week. Apparently not because he wasn't super owned, but above I want to say the $25 double up, everybody knew you play Wayne Gallman. So when there's not that kind of value, making the right decisions can be so incredibly valuable.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get into a pretty important decision point, I would say, on the slate as we kind of move through the games. Definitely lower value, definitely in terms of value shock.
Yeah,
there's a few of them actually, not just one.
All right, let's hop into it then. The first game I have here, we have the Minnesota Vikings. They are 5.5-point favorites in New York facing the Giants, 43.5-point total. It's come down a point since it opened. This feels like a very obvious Dalvin Cook game. They're 5.5 points. The Giants have given up more yardage through passing, but I don't really care. Minnesota doesn't want to pass. They're going to run. They're probably going to run all over them. So Dalvin Cook, really the only question for me is where does he stand relative to Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott? I guess you could throw Alvin Kamara in there, but I'm not running Alvin Kamara in cash. So
yeah, I'm pretty bullish on Cook. I feel like he's the guy you want to spend up for. Especially with the usage that Minnesota's giving, they're giving him through the first 4 weeks. I think for me, when we look at this game, it's definitely a positive game script for Cook. But then on the other side of it, we kind of talked about, and you hit on in the chat, was going to a guy like Evan Ingram, who it's a positive game script as well for him at home, and Daniel Jones. I don't want to steal your thunder. You can kind of get into the Dalvin Cook Waller situation that happened 2 weeks ago and kind of how it relates to this game.
Yeah, this is actually, there are 2 games that I like this exact same strategy that you brought up a few weeks ago, and I've kind of taken a lot from it. It was a few weeks ago, the Vikings played Oakland. Vikings were expected to crush them, and they did. It wasn't close, but that sets up perfectly for Darren Waller, and it sets up perfectly for Dalvin Cook. Run Darren Waller, Dalvin Cook, and you can even run the defense. It's not highly correlated with the tight end of the opposing team, but the game script is. You expect the defense to shut them down, and even if Waller doesn't score, which he hasn't, he got 13 targets in that game or something. So this game sets up to be the exact same situation. My only problem is Vikings defense isn't one of my favorites on the slate. I'm going to be running this exact strategy on another spot, but I do think it's very viable here as well.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it's a really good play. If I'm looking at this game, I'm pulling Dalvin, I'm pulling Evan Ingram, and correlating those two. Probably my favorite plays. I think a lot of people will make a case for Gallman. Not in love with it, but I understand it. I'm just not going to chase it. He's definitely in play, but I just can't really latch onto it. Sterling Shepard will be another guy. People might try to chase. I'm probably going to stay away. Like I said, I like the Ingram's. I just personally like Ingram, and from there it's Dalvin Cook in this game.
Yeah, Wayne Gallman, one, I think he popped up on the injury report, but 2, he was getting work stolen from by John Hillman, Elijah Penny. He's not this dominant bell cow. It was really scoring and receiving game work that put him over the edge. So I'm not chasing it either. That's a sharp call. I'm ready to move on to our next game. I have here the Baltimore Ravens facing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Baltimore's a 3.5-point road favorite. Total is actually up to 44. It's 1.5 from where it opened. Lamar Jackson always in play on DK for would it be the first ever double bonus if he hit 300 100?
We've seen we've definitely seen it with McCaffrey.
Okay. I guess I was thinking quarterback double bonus.
No, quarterback double? No, definitely. I get it. Yeah. 1 second. I just have to let someone into my apartment. Sorry.
So I'll talk about this game for a little bit while he goes, and I don't know. He's probably like letting a criminal into his apartment. They're like, "Hey, do you want a pizza?" So I like the. Don't worry about me. I said you're going to open the door for somebody, and they were just going to like walk in and steal everything from your house. So for me, I like Lamar Jackson. He's like I think he's easily the highest priced quarterback on the slate with no Patrick Mahomes on the main slate. But I'm fine with buying into Lamar Jackson if I'm doubling it down with Marquise Brown, third in the league in air yards, just hasn't produced outside of week 1. Like I'm doing this until I go broke.
Yeah, no, I get the Marquise Brown call. Like I'm not against it at all. Like pairing him with Jackson, think it'll be relatively low on the slate. I also like the Ravens defense. Like Mason Rudolph did what he did versus Cincinnati. I'm not going to go fish over it, and just Justin was talking about like hitting some of these one of these Pittsburgh receivers is going to go off or something. I can't buy into that.
Are they?
Are they? Like, I doubt it. I wouldn't play that. I would just kind of play Lamar Jackson or Marquise Brown as correlated or just as a one-off. And I don't even really like running it back with any of these guys.
Yeah, and I think especially with Marquise Brown, like he's a guy who doesn't need the volume to pay back his value, so he doesn't necessarily have to correlate with somebody on the other team. If I'm playing, like he can do it on 2 catches. Like you don't need, if I run, I don't know, Tyler Boyd, say, I'm gonna run him back with somebody because he needs this game to have like super high volume. He's a lower ADOT guy who has to get like, I don't know, 8-9 catches to get over the 100-yard bonus and score multiple times. We literally saw in week 1, like week 1 is a perfect example actually. Like Marquise Brown caught 4 passes. There was nobody worth running it back with on the other side, and he made a ton of value. So I think like dudes who can make their value on 1 to 2 catches, you don't necessarily have to run back.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm not trying to run this game back with anyone. It just doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to a low total game, but I'm at least a little interested in Jacksonville versus Carolina Panthers. It has a 41-point total. Panthers 3.5-point favorites. I'm still just like Christian McCaffrey needs to be over 9K. I'm playing him until he hits like borderline 10K.
Yeah, I get it. He's basically the whole offense runs through him at this point. I just don't know if I want to pay $8,700 for him, but I probably like if I feel like ownership's going to make me go there in cash, and sharper players are on him, then I'm probably just going to go there because I have to compete with those guys in cash games. In terms of like Jacksonville on that side, like obviously I'd probably want to run that back in tournaments. I don't know. I don't want to run it back with a guy like Fournette. I never rostered 2 running backs in the same game. Probably be more like a DJ Chark, DD Westbrook type game for me if I was running it back in tournaments.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure DJ Chark is still below DD Westbrook in price, which is just like, come on. Like I was high on DD Westbrook going into the season. I was so incredibly wrong. If you're running it back with anybody, it's obviously DJ Chark. Just for me, like I have like expected points, like this expected points model versus price. McCaffrey is top 5, and the guys below or the guys above him would be like Chris Thompson and Philip Lindsay, like dudes who like are just not quite price correct, but I'm not really interested in playing. The only other guy up there is actually Leonard Fournette, which is kind of like, I agree. I don't necessarily want to run my running backs back, but these are, for me, like Fournette's one of the best values that he didn't get priced up correctly based on how much he's getting used. So I don't know. I'm kind of in a spot here where I still have to figure out what I'm doing with that.
Yeah, I think that's like definitely a misprice. We've seen how Garner miscues, like, so like a lot of his targets are definitely directed towards DJ Chark. DD has the best matchup, dude.
Is someone cooking? I can't.
I don't know what's going on. This is Like, okay,
that's enough of this game.
Yeah,
we've lost it on this game.
Yeah,
but I mean, I really
make as much noise as possible.
Because of the 41-point total, I'm actually not awfully interested in anyone outside of McCaffrey. Like, I think him and Fournette are both misprices. Curtis Samuel, not the worst, like, air yards by low type of guy, but I don't know. There are other guys that fit that mold for me better. Anyone else you're interested in this game?
No, I'm not. It's Curtis. You just hit on the two guys I'd be interested in, and no, I'm not interested really. So we can move on.
Yeah, that's how I am. This next game's awful. We've got the Titans playing the Buffalo Bills. 38.5-point total, just like awful, truly awful. Titans are 3-point favorites. They are maybe playing against Matt Barkley, Josh Allen in step or stage, whatever, 4 out of 5 in concussion protocol. But like, there's always the chance this gets held up and he misses a week. So that'll be something we can talk about on the Sunday morning show. But for now, I guess we can treat it like Matt Barkley's playing, right?
Yeah, you think this game's awful. There's pretty good movement on the total. Sharp money's on the over. I'll let you kind of think that.
So I was actually looking into this, and I was looking at low total movement, and it doesn't really have a lot of effect on quarterback like value.
No, it opened up at 38. It moved like a quarter of a point, and I saw that the sharp money was on the over, like 75% of it. So
exciting. A 39.
It's not, that doesn't like make or break anything for me. Like, this slate's terrible. Like, for me, like, I like John Brown a ton in this spot. I think he'll go relatively under-owned as a one-off. I also don't mind if I'm running it back going to Derrick Henry at 6K. I don't know. I think it's a way to be different in tournament. I probably just prefer the Brown route of just the one-off. And then Josh Allen, if he doesn't play, Matt Barkley at 4,600. I know a lot of people are against it, this is a really terrible slate for quarterback play. Like, I don't mind taking a shot on Matt Barkley and MME, or I don't know if I'm just trying to do something different. I know the total is pretty low, but like I said, it looked like the sharp money was on the over, and I think Barkley definitely changes the landscape of how the Buffalo offense is going to be run. Definitely going to throw the ball more, so I like that with John Brown. I think it's a pretty good play.
Yeah, I will say I don't like this game. John Brown, always a good play. Like,
John Brown's a really good play this week.
Dude's always a good play, and especially he will go under-owned relative to, he probably still has the same upside. So I'm totally fine with throwing that one off, but I'm probably not doing
more upside with Barkley. Well, actually, no, he doesn't have more upside with Barkley, but Barkley targeted him 5 times in Stephon Gilmore coverage. So I have no issue with that. Like, he's going to throw to him.
Barkley does sound stupid.
I don't know if it sounds stupid. Like,
no. I mean, like, why would you?
I go as low as possible in terms of like There's no quarterbacks in the slate. Dude.
No. I'm saying just the fact that him personally targeting people playing against Stephon Gilmore. Brilliant call, Barkley. No, but like we talked about it before. Like,
I don't mind if he does stupid things. If he's just it's fantasy football, I'm not worried about him for like my football team. Like, I don't. You know what I mean? Like, I just wanted to throw to my guy that I roster. That's pretty.
Yeah, and we talk about we've talked about Kyle Allen, Jacoby Brissett. Like, it's so easy for these guys to pay back value. So, and especially on a slate with like no obvious pricing inefficiencies. Like, I don't hate the Barkley play, but there's actually a quarterback for 100 more that I think is like significantly better that we'll get to. But before we get there, this game is Chicago versus Oakland. This is the game that I was talking about with Chicago as a 5-point favorite. 40.5-point total that I think running David Montgomery with Darren Waller is a great stack in this game in the same vein as the Dalvin Cook, Evan Ingram stack. So what do you think about that?
David Montgomery and Waller. Yeah, I think that's like it's like a poor man's version of Dalvin and Ingram, I would say. For me, like, I'm not on it a ton. I get it. Like, that's who I'd probably run it back with. I like Cohen a lot. I think he's sneaky with Chase Daniel, especially how Chase Daniel kind of targets the running backs and checks down out of the backfield, which also could be a plus to David Montgomery. But I definitely think Cohen's sneaky in tournaments. And then from there, like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't love this game, but yeah, you could go the Waller route too if you want to do that.
Yeah,
It doesn't really correlate as well as David Montgomery.
Yeah, I agree. This is a game like I'm just having this like not a one-off, but this little two-off where David Montgomery, Mike Davis got a decent amount of run in week one. After that, Mike Davis, the past 2 weeks has gotten, or I guess 2 weeks after that, has gotten no run. Missed practice this week or missed practice last week and then didn't play. Personal issues, but still didn't end up playing.
No, this is good news to have. Keep going.
Sorry, you were like coming in a little laggy. I was like, oh man, if my internet cuts out, I'll be yeah. So now I don't even see my picture. Great, what a great start to this show. But I'll keep talking. Hopefully you can hear me. Mike Davis basically did not play 2 weeks 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago. Last week he was literally inactive because of personal issues. David Montgomery in those 3 games averaging 19.7 touches per game. Like he is even like showing up. Tariq Cohen, like he is clearly dominating the work in this backfield, which gets me mostly off Tariq Cohen, and I just like the game script play as 5-point favorites. So for me, that's kind of where I'm going with this game, and that's about it.
No, so yeah, I think Monty's going to end up being pretty popular. I don't know if he's going to be the value running back. I think there's another guy in a similar situation that I like that could end up being chalky, but Montgomery could like eventually be chalk by the end of this week, depending if we get good coach speak. I just don't like rostering running backs on the road, especially rookie running backs, even though the total kind of says he's a good play. And I mean, the spread says he's a good play. Just not something I'm in love with. I kind of do not know where he was at. Next game, we can just get right into it. New York Jets at Philadelphia Eagles. Jets have a 15.5 team total. Philly has a 28.5 team total. This was the guy I was talking about. I was talking about Miles Sanders at 4,500. Really like correlating him with the Eagles defense in this game. Looking for word on his situation and if he's going to be the lead back in Philadelphia. I think Kyle's cut out pretty much. Hopefully he'll get back on. If not, it is what it is. I can just continue to roll. On the Jets side, like don't really love a ton on the Jets. It would mainly just be Sanders and the Eagles D as a correlative play in cash for me, and that's pretty much it. Like I'm not really running it back with anyone on the New York Jets. Jamison Crowder would be the guy if like that ended up being a thing. Baltimore at Pittsburgh, we covered it. Buff Tennessee, we covered it. Arizona, Cincinnati, we can just hop right into it. Haven't talked about it. It's going to be a pretty popular game on the slate. 47.5 over under. 22 is the team total for Arizona. 25 is the team total for Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a 3-point favorite at home. So Arizona plays paced up, as we all know. I really like Kyler in the spot at 6,300 on the road. Don't mind pairing him with David Johnson either, for that matter. A lot of the value is going to come in Christian Kirk being out. I think Larry Fitzgerald sees a significant usage bump in that if that was to be the case. Trent Sherfield at 3K would be someone who's in play for cash games and tournaments. I think there's better value on the other side. We'll get into it in a sec, but he's one guy. Keyshawn Johnson's another at 3,500. That's not Keyshawn Johnson with the Jets of the 90s. That's totally different Keyshawn, not related. Cincinnati, on the Cincinnati side, Auden Tate is going to be someone who's going to pop. I definitely prefer the Cincinnati value. Guys like Tate, guys like Tyler Eifert versus Arizona defense. David Johnson at 7,500, he'd be the guy to be running it back with. I don't even mind pairing him up with Kyler and correlating the usage that he's seen recently in the passing game.
Bobby, can you see me?
Yeah, you're back on. I just kept moving.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Thank you for rolling on. My computer just kind of sees
Arizona
that.
and Cincinnati's where we're pretty much talked the majority of. I'll just finish out the show from here because I kind of know what the games you've already talked about. Just to help you out a little so we don't kind of cover things twice, I guess. Where you kind of I talked about the value on both. I pretty much wrapped up this game. If you have any
Yeah, I heard that game. I heard you talk about that game. I am like befuddled by what Arizona thinks they're doing with their receivers. Like 1 week it was Keyshawn Johnson week, got a handful of targets like back-to-back weeks. But this past week, Trent Sherfield outsnapped him by a lot. And then they're saying Andy Isabella is going to play outside. The dude's like 5'9" and was dominant out of the slot in college. Like, what do they think they're doing? What are we doing with it?
I'm with you. We're not touching that
Yeah,
Arizona value if we don't have to. For me, it's pretty much just basically the Cincinnati guys, Eifert and Auden Tate. I think Eifert's a really good play. I think Auden Tate's a really good play for just like both of them definitely in play for cash games.
I heard you covered Jets Philly. Did I miss anything else?
No. You can take it. I just didn't know if you had basically heard who I talked about. So
yeah, no,
if you know the games we talked about. Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, I caught the tail end of that. Our next game should be the Los Angeles Chargers hosting the Denver Broncos. Broncos are 0-4 and look like garbage. They are 6.5-point dogs. 44.5-point total though, a little better than some of the other games on the slate. If you are paying down for quarterback, I actually think Joe Flacco is the best player to pay down for. 4,700 for a dude who like has no chance of getting benched, whereas like I think Colt McCoy is like 4,100. Honestly, the chance of him getting benched means like he could be 2K. Like I don't know, like he might not finish the game. So if you're paying down, I actually think Joe Flacco is a better play. He's like top of the NFL in terms of like expected fantasy points just because he's throwing a lot and he's throwing relatively deep. So I don't hate him. Like I take him over Matt Barkley. The total's better. Like I think his weapons are better, and he's 100 more. So that's all I'll say. It's like I agree. You have to find some places to make value on the slate because there's not a ton of value just obviously presenting itself out of Auden Tate, which is like the clear lock space. So I like Joe Flacco better, but I get the process behind really paying down for any quarterback.
Yeah, I get why you like Flacco better. Sutton is a guy you're going to pair Flacco with and running it back. Like I think we can take another week on Eckler. I personally like for whatever reason I have like this deep-seated hatred for Melvin Gordon. Like I just don't like him. I don't know why.
There's better too.
I don't think he's that good. And like yeah, his numbers have been great and he gets a lot of dump passes from Rivers, but I think the Chargers front office is pretty much of the same opinion as me where they feel like they can just get by without him. I kind of wish they'd just leave Eckler. We're kind of getting this good price on Eckler at 6,700 and then Melvin Gordon being priced up to 7K without really having any definitive news around what the actual split is going to be. And I just think that Eckler isn't going to like be forced to hand over the reins quite as easily as everyone else kind of thinks. So I like the price for Eckler at 6,700, and I think it's definitely in play for cash games if we get the right news. What are your feelings around that situation?
Yeah, I think what you said is important. Right now, I'm not doing that, although I love Eckler in tournaments because I just think Melvin Gordon's like mostly been a volume-fueled player, whereas Eckler was truly like efficient and like breaking tackles, making long runs. Like he looks like an actually good NFL, like really good NFL running back, whereas Melvin Gordon I thought was always just like a volume-fueled guy. It would take the right news for me to play him in cash, though. Specifically, his price is good, but like there is a chance things just go back to the way they used to be, which like I think that floor is not what I want to pay up for. Yeah. But if we get the right news, I would 100% consider him in cash. It's just that like we've seen this this LA Chargers coaching staff make some really bad decisions throughout their time in LA. I guess San Diego as well. Like they're not the smartest coaching staff, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just give Melvin Gordon a ton of workload because they like don't like efficiency or something.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's another coaching staff in this league that you kind of have to hope that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Another coaching staff that's relatively bad at their job, I would say.
Yes, agreed.
For me, another play in this game, and I think he's definitely viable for cash also with the injuries that we'll have to wait on news, obviously, but at the wide receiver position for the Chargers is Keenan Allen. I think he's a very good play at 7,300. It's just last week he busted for a lot of people, and you can kind of leverage that recency bias at that price tag, and also in tournaments where his ownership might not be, especially in lower stakes where his ownership might not be as high. Sharper guys like in the higher stakes probably be on Allen, but I would say that lower stake stuff, you can get away with rostering some Keenan Allen.
That's why I kind of think David Montgomery, as you circled, as we talked about, like I think it's the same thing where like higher stakes people are going to like very clearly just see the like touches per salary dollar spent and be like, yeah, that's like a pretty obvious play. I think you might not be in like the, $3 3 max or whatever, So I think as you move down the stakes, those plays probably get even better. And especially with Keenan Allen, people are just going to like really hit hard on that recency bias after he burned them, despite the fact that he was taken down, I think, at the 2-yard line twice and obviously had that long touchdown called back. Like we saw his floor game last week. And for that being like a wide receiver floor game, that's pretty awesome. So I'm totally doubling down on Keenan Allen. Agree.
Yeah, Montgomery, like you said, like my issue with Montgomery wouldn't be everything that you stated. It'd be more that they're on the road in that situation. It would be more of a tournament play. Like I wouldn't be able to consider it for cash. Even though like the spread goes his way, he's just a rookie running back on the road. If things get dicey, maybe he fumbles, maybe they go away from him. You know what I mean? So in that sense, like in a football sense, not the numbers, not point per dollar, not the usage, that would be why I'd kind of go away. I'd be like I'd rather use like a Miles Sanders, even though Miles Sanders had the fumble and he had the same. So it's pretty much at home, and they have a 13-point spread. So
yeah, the spread is definitely like obviously much more in favor of them at home. So those parts of the aspect, very true, very true. Let me see. I think when I blacked out here, we jumped out of what I would have called the order. You have not talked about the New England Patriots versus the Washington Redskins yet?
No, I have not.
All right, cool. Then we have the Redskins as they're pushing Miami for worst team in the league. 14.5-point favorites, or 14.5-point dogs. I honestly think it's a bit low. This total has dropped tremendously from 45.5 to 42. I mean, it's hard for me to get awfully interested in this game because I don't know what to do with the Patriots because their volume is so spread out. And I'm definitely not playing anybody from the Redskins. So,
no, I get you. For me, like I like James White. He's been popping in models. I know you don't play Sony Michel, but at 5,500 with the spread, I think you have to consider it. But my issue with Sony Michel is the reason why I like James White. Patriots line's pretty banged up. No James Devlin. It's just a tougher situation with the running game. A guy like James White kind of makes it easier in the short passing game when that's the situation. So I like James White, and he also outsnapped Michel 50 to 45. This is a Kyle usage stat, so Kyle can take the credit for this one. Basically, he outsnapped Michel in a game the Patriots had a 13-point lead at one point. So I just think White's the play. Also interested in Dorsett at 4,900. Edelman's a good play at 63. On the Washington side, I'd consider Chris Thompson. That's the only play I'd consider. Maybe Terry McLaurin, but if you want to run it back, but it'll only be Thompson really for me.
Yeah, I expect the Gilmore treatment on McLaurin, assuming he plays, so I'm not awfully interested there. Like, this offense is going to be awful. I very much agree that if you're like off Sony Michel, you almost out of necessity have to be on James White. And despite the fact that I'm not sure like we're seeing like his target share and his market share of air yards are down slightly from last year, I still think he's a pretty solid play, and his price like hasn't come up to the immense amount of targets. I think he saw like 10 targets last week. So yeah, I think he's a good play. Not playing anybody from Washington. I guess little tidbit, much like I think I had one of these last week too. If you're playing Showdown, it is Jeremy Sprinkle, the third string tight end. Jordan Reed is out. Vernon Davis in concussion protocol. He's 200. He has to get one catch and he pays value again.
Oh, that's in Showdown. I thought you were saying
Showdown, yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah, no, he's 200. He
Matt Barkley.
Yeah.
Don't make me call you out for this sprinkle tape.
No. Just in Showdown, he's 200. Yeah, that's the thing. Min price guys on Showdown are a lot different than min
What's
price
Sprinkle's
guys.
price on the main slate? If I'm just wondering. I know you know because you.
He's 2,500. He's min price. I don't care. I'm not playing him.
Yeah, I wouldn't play him. I was just wondering.
Yeah, no, I looked it up too. I was like, 200. Maybe he's like, yeah, I don't even care. It doesn't matter. He still has to get like probably what would that be like 6 catches, 60 yards or something like that to I guess like six catches, 40 yards or something to pay back value. Like you need one.
I could see him getting 4 for 30, 4 for 20.
Yeah, like that's all right.
Yeah,
it's not the worst. but like the fact that he needs one single catch for 0 yards is what makes him in play on Showdown. Like that's enough Showdown. We don't need to DJ out.
We should have spoke on this in the lot when we talked Arizona, Cincinnati. There's no CJ Uzoma for the Bengals this week.
Oh, really? I actually did not know that. So that's actually,
or it looks like, no. I think he's trending towards not playing or he's out.
Yeah, so we can talk about that again Sunday morning. But that's actually like I was pretty lukewarm on Tyler Eifert. That actually kind of. I hate to just buy the narrative, like the narrative of just jam your tight ends against Arizona, but like that there's volume back behind this narrative now, so I don't have any problem.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's move over.
Justin will still say that's a terrible play.
Let's move over to we've got the Texans hosting the Atlanta Falcons. Texans are 5-point favorites, 49-point total. I think that might be the highest total on the main slate because we have Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs playing on the Sunday night game. So yeah, that is the highest total on the main slate. I'm like stacking this game every which way. I think you don't like Matt Ryan. I think Matt Ryan might be the better quarterback play, especially I think he's a cash consideration considering there's like not great plays.
Yeah, Dirk Cotter's done a lot with Matt Ryan for his fantasy value, similar to Jameis last season. I have my own personal bias towards Matt Ryan. I just don't think he's good at football. But he's definitely put up some big numbers in terms of fantasy recently. So I get why he's in consideration for a lot of people. Like stacking him with Calvin Ridley, secondary receiver. I think that's where you want to go. In tournaments, if you're doing it in cash, you play Julio. I'm probably not going to play Julio in cash. I don't know. Hooper's been going off. He's really highly priced on, I think, FanDuel.
Yeah, he's the number one tight end on FanDuel.
Yeah,
that's
like
crazy.
6th on DraftKings.
Yeah, way lower on DK. I am very much considering him in cash on DK, especially if I end up playing Matt Ryan. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do yet, but if I end up playing Matt Ryan, I think he's the best value stack with him because I don't really want to pay for Julio Jones. I think running back is where most of my money is going to be allocated this week. So a decision yet to be made, but if I'm pairing him with anyone, it's Austin Hooper.
Yeah, I'm just not playing him in cash, but I might have to rethink that. I can't do it. Like, I just can't get it. He's just such a tough roster for me.
He's top.
Every time I play him, he's bad.
Even in terms of being a good real life quarterback, though, he's top 10 in terms of being like a good real life quarterback. He's top 10 in expected points added per dropback, like EPA added. He's like just really good in real life too. I don't know what you have against him.
I don't think he's really good in real life. I don't even want to get into it. He's not really good in real life. What's their record?
I don't know. They're not. They're probably not good.
No, they might be. Who knows? I don't know. I think I don't like him.
So give me then. Are you interested in Deshaun Watson?
I'd give you 10 quarterbacks in the league. I'd rather over him.
We don't need that on this show. Just tell me.
That's true. The league's really bad at the quarterback position.
So the Texan side of this, I'm just like Marquise Brown. I'm running Will Fuller until the wheels fall off.
Wait a minute. What's top 10 in this league at the quarterback position? The quarterback position in this league's atrocious.
I don't know what you want me to tell you. He's better than 2/3 of the league.
Okay. What you're saying, Deshaun?
I was just asking you. We've talked like Julio always in play in tournaments. I think Calvin Ridley is a good buy low, but he hasn't really been getting a ton of volume. So I think he's like exclusively like I don't want to say MME, but like not a single entry tournament guy, just because his volume actually hasn't really been there. It's kind of been going back to Mohamed Sanu, who feels like the most cap player in terms of ceiling, but like I don't know, man. Volume is volume.
No, it's good. I'm happy you gave me that because I won't play Ridley this week.
Yeah, I don't like.
I rely on everyone else for the volume and usage stats, and then I apply them where need be because. No, actually, I apply them to everything because they're right. I love numbers backing up my picks. So I'm off Ridley.
Speaking of volume, Will Fuller, top 15 in air yards, I believe, might even be top 10. He's right around that area. Oh, babies, he burned me again last week, but I'm going back to well.
He didn't burn you, man. He burned me. He burned me pretty bad.
Are we going back to the well? I'm totally going back to the well.
I'm totally going. Those air yards, keep them coming. 75. I found it out today. 75-yard touchdown. He didn't connect with him on. I can't imagine.
Just go silent.
I probably wouldn't be here right now.
I was on Bob's show, the Sirius XM show, and I literally said the same thing. I was like, no, like if Keenan Allen hit, I'd be on vacation. You guys wouldn't be talking to me now.
Yeah, I'd be under a palm tree somewhere, just like baking in the sun.
But that's going to be this week because it's finally the Will Fuller buy low week. I don't mind running Deshaun Watson, but they actually haven't been letting him throw the ball a ton. He's been taking a ton of sacks. Like, I don't know. I think
he's just going to stop running, dude. Well, he needs to run, but he needs to get down.
Yeah, I don't know.
Line is Laramie Tunsil, I guess, helps a little.
So I'm playing Will Fuller. I guess DeAndre Hopkins or Julio Jones in this game, which is your pick? That's kind of the final decision point I have here.
I think it would be Fuller would be the guy because I'm just chasing really hard. D-Hop's going to go off, though, too. So I don't mind the stack.
All right, our next game we have here is the Saints hosting Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's at home for the Saints, so you love to play your Saints there. They're 3-point favorites, which feels kind of low to me. I guess, like, yeah, the Bucs put on a show last week, but 46.5 point total. Who are you going with the Bucs? It feels like every other week it's a Chris Godwin week, and the every other week that it's not, it's a Mike Evans week. I am inclined to just literally fade last week's production in terms of these two guys, assuming that Chris Godwin will be much more popular. But where's your line with this?
Yeah, I've never rostered Mike Evans correctly in the Superdome, so I don't mind chasing Godwin either. He's a good player. I usually don't chase bad players that go off, but good ones I don't mind. I've played Cooper Kupp pretty much a lot this year, except last week, as I said at the top of the show, which, I was on him all week, and then I got off him. So that's pretty much like I don't mind Godwin. Evans has been crushing it in the air yards. You can use him. How much do you think like how well the Bucs defense played had to do with like Ndamukong Suh knowing Jared Goff like for the last 3 years?
I feel like that's a few reads too deep. Like, is it?
It's not a few reads too deep if you've ever played football, but
I can't argue.
It's not a few reads. The first thing Bill does when he brings in players, and they've said it like multiple times, he asks them questions about like what they do well and schematically in different situations. Like players do that all the time. Like I'm telling you, Sue had the touchdown. I'm not saying it's not too deep. I'm telling you, there's no way.
I'm not saying that is not possible, but can you predict which players know which other players' tendencies and which players have not corrected those tendencies?
Jared Goff obviously hasn't corrected those tendencies because he has the same issues on the road now as he did since he came into the league. Like we still have McVay calling the play for him in his ear. So like, there's going to be something that he does. Like players know what good quarterbacks are. Like, I don't know. It's pretty easy to tell like what guys do well and what they don't do well. So guy like Sue has been in the league for so long. Like Bruce Arians is a great coach as well. I'm sure they talked before last week. I think he'd be a fool to expect otherwise.
I think it's unpredictable. I'm not saying it didn't happen because it does make sense. Like I do agree that like
yeah, it's unpredictable. I'm just saying. I'm just for the talking point, pretty much.
It's interesting. It's not something I'm factoring in. That's where I'll leave this at. So let's get back to, I guess, I'm not like any interest in Ronald Jones. Like he's looked really good. Like I'm not an eye test guy, but dude looks way better than Peyton Barber.
I'm not an eye test guy either. I don't play Ronald Jones. I don't play bad players.
Get roasted, Ronald Jones. All right, let's go. Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. Those are really the only two guys. I'm not playing Teddy Bridgewater. They're not throwing enough downfield for me to have any interest in Ted Ginn. Any interest in Michael Thomas price in DraftKings 6,600. I actually think it'd be bad not to play him almost.
Yeah, Michael Thomas is popping in bottles, so that's a decision point in cash, I think, for a lot of people. Do you trust him with Teddy Bridgewater in cash? Like the price is great, point per dollar. It's definitely something that you have to consider. I just don't know if I'm going to go there yet. Have more clarity on it Sunday.
I think it's really for me. It's like which receiver am I paying up for? Because I'm only doing it once, probably in cash. You actually don't have to pay up that much for Michael Thomas, so I think he's just a good value play. I'm not necessarily like in love with him the way I was like Keenan Allen last week. glad that turned out so well. Alvin Kamara.
Keenan Allen wasn't a bad play last week.
No. I'm just mad about the variance. That's classic. Variance got us. But I mean, honestly, the 70-yard touchdown literally is variance.
The whole industry was on Keenan Allen. It wasn't just you. So
yeah. I don't know.
You would have been a fish not to play Keenan Allen last week.
Agree. Alvin Kamara, he's kind of the odd man out for me in terms of paying up for running backs. I'm not are you any interested in Alvin Kamara? Because I don't love the offense he's in anymore. I don't know. It's just like, meh.
Yeah, I'm with you. Meh. Water, other guy, Taysom Hill. Like, I don't know. Just get Drew Brees back.
Yep, just hang it. Wait for his price to drop, and then play him in cash when he's like $7K when Drew Brees comes back or something.
The thing is, he is going to be an interesting tournament play because I definitely think in higher stakes, people aren't going to go near him. If his ownership's drastically low, I think you have to consider him. There's just because of the lack of value on the slate. Not like he's a value guy, but it's just a way to be different. And he's a good guy to be. He's I'd rather be different with a good player than be differentiated with someone who sucks.
Yeah, he's also one of the few running backs that I actually believe are talented because for the most part, I'm who cares? It's a running back. They're mostly a product of their system. The rate at which he breaks tackles is statistically significant than a lot of other running backs. So
see, I'm not going to do it though because I just don't want to run it back with any of these Bucks guys, even though it's in the Superdome, because I know that I'd want to run it back with Evans. I just run it back with Godwin.
All right, just run it back with Godwin. Let's see what else we have on this slate. We're coming up on the end. That might actually be everything. Our final game, I believe, is Green Bay versus Dallas. Yeah, I think it's our last game. Dallas is a 3.5-point home favorite, 46.5-point total. Zeke feels like in a great spot. Green Bay, he's at home. He's a favorite. Green Bay has kind of been funneling production to the running back. I don't know. I guess is he the dude for you this week?
Zeke seems like he's the right guy. I like Zeke. I think he's going to be pretty highly owned. If I had to do a 1v1 at this moment, or just Zeke versus McCaffrey, I'm probably taking Zeke. Could be a bad take, though. I don't know.
That might be a bad take.
No, yeah, it could be a bad take. I think a lot of people are going to – if I have to play – if it gets to the point where I feel like I have to play McCaffrey, and I'll play McCaffrey, I just personally prefer Zeke. I just make the decision based on where I think the ownership is going to be in cash.
Yeah. For Green Bay, I believe Marcus
my personal take doesn't really matter when it comes to what I roster in cash games. It does, but it doesn't in the sense that when it's two high end guys, I'm just going to go with the guy that I think is going to be more owned in cash because it's just easier to do. It's just a lot easier that way.
Yeah.
Right.
I completely agree. If one of them is egregiously owned relative to the other, there's no, I'd play the higher owned one for sure. Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Geronimo Allison, not super low priced. I'm not awfully interested in them, assuming Devontae Adams is out. I don't know if they technically ruled him out yet, but he's not playing. So.
Yeah, no, I think Valdez-Scantling is a good play. It's just I hate rostering wide receivers versus this Dallas team. It's really something that I don't love, but he does have Rodgers throwing to him, so it's different than having I don't know, Jameis Winston throwing him the football, I would say. I don't know. Or Matt Ryan. I don't know. It's just, yeah. I like the fact that he's with you definitely consider him in tournaments. I don't know if I'd go there in cash, but I don't know. People may argue to tournaments. He's fine. I wouldn't really go much further.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't play him in cash. I get the reasoning in tournaments. I still think, I don't know. I'm probably just going to be playing the air yards by low guys. Your Marquise Browns, your Will Fullers is where a lot of my funds are going to go in tournaments, and I'm excited to lose them all. We have a few questions here. So let's see. Brady, since he's going to eviscerate the Redskins, or Deshaun Watson. Atlanta, Houston seems a bit more competitive. I guess it depends. If this is just a season-long question, I'll probably play Brady.
What?
Dude, Washington's going to get an eye. He's going to throw 3 touchdowns.
No, I get it. I know. I think you're right, actually.
I'm not playing. I don't think there's no chance this game.
I think you're right. Actually, to be honest, I think that's a good call.
There's no chance that this game even comes close to shooting out. So take it from a Redskins fan. I'm just being irrational. There's no chance this game goes into a shootout. So if you want the highest ceiling possible, like Deshaun Watson, obviously, he's got 2 rushing touchdown upside. He's got, I'd still say, better weapons. He's got Will Fuller, who's one of the best deep threats in the league. But just pure median outcome, I'll probably go Brady.
Yeah, I like that. The more I think about it, I think Brady's a really good call. I just think that he's going to have to throw more with this offensive line. I don't think they're going to be able to run the football down people's throats like they want to. They do a good job of adapting. He's been in the league for 20 years. He's able to make those adjustments. So, yeah, I like Brady. And I'd probably prefer him to Watson in season long. On DraftKings or FanDuel is probably Deshaun, because I think Brady's priced up above Deshaun on both. I'm not sure on FD, but I know definitely on DraftKings.
Yeah, I completely agree with you agreeing with me. I was at a Packers-Texans joint practice during camp. Jordan Akins looked uncoverable. He had a good game 2 weeks ago. Do you think they will target him more? Probably not.
Team watch the practices.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When you're playing in shorts, it's probably a lot easier to look good. I'm chasing the volume, dude. He ain't getting that, so I'm not going to be playing him.
Yeah, I don't hate him as a deep MME flyer in a game that could shoot out on a terrible slate. I'm not against it. I like when people come with outside the box stuff, and I think it's a game that could shoot out. So I'm not against that call. If you want to be different, stacking the game up, but stack the game up. Don't run it as a one-off.
That's a good asterisk to add to that take. Let's see. Marquise Brown, Tyler Boyd, or DJ Chark to go with Chris Godwin. Congratulations on winning the Chris Godwin lottery. For me, probably Tyler Boyd. I think he's pretty much a lock to see 8 to 10 targets. But if I guess for season long, the equivalent of a tournament play is if you're a large underdog. If you're expected to if your team sucks and you're expected to get blown out, Marquise Brown probably has a higher ceiling by a lot. So.
Yeah, I go with the air yards.
Okay. Let's see. We have a few questions in the actual chat. Let's see. Actually, just one more. What's a good entry size for cash in FanDuel? Bobby, you can go for this.
$2. the lowest denominator possible that you can go in any.
That's right. That's right.
On any site, definitely zero. On DraftKings, I can't go below $5. I would just stay away. $5 and up on DraftKings is pretty much high stakes. Same thing on FanDuel. So I would stay in the 0 to 25 cent to $3 range in pretty much all my action and just play more volume.
Yeah, I was playing. I forget which game it was.
I can't do that. I wish I could.
Yeah, I have. I was playing some of the $5 and some of the $2. And the cash line just in double ups was significantly harder to beat in the $5 last week. I mean, it's a 1 week sample, but it is genuinely the higher up you go, you are playing sharper people. If you can play against worse players, why wouldn't you? And
so this is really bad. I never play on FanDuel. I've just been moving some cash over there, here and there, because I can go to lower stakes, and it is what it is.
I finally got priced out of the intermediate, the welcome to FanDuel games, because I didn't play on FanDuel either. I was all DraftKings.
I never played on FanDuel, so I'll take my 90%, 95% hit rate in cash over there because I didn't play for 4 years.
Yeah. So I mean, what is good entry size? Just play whatever the cheapest thing you can is. So yeah.
Yeah, it's more so contest selection is so huge, guys. Too I think it's more important than being able to build a lineup and understand. The first thing you should learn is how to build a proper cash game. We talk about point per dollar and usage all the time, and I think that's pretty much the structure behind every play that you make in cash, or the stuff that pretty much adds up to your cash game play or the correct cash game play. And once you learn that, you can learn to play tournaments. I think the best way to play tournaments is play 100 mans. Because you realize how like what basically how to build a proper 100-man is pretty. You can run your cash in 100-man. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good way to sum it up. And I like always like ending on process over just picks. So I enjoy talking about that. No more questions in the chat. No more questions in the Ask Questions section. You can find us 9 a.m. Sunday mornings breaking down basically all the news we'll get from now until then. That is Bobby Gomes DFS on Twitter. Find me at Kyle Tweets here. That's all.
Nice talking to you, Kyle, bud.
All right. I will see you around.